Hi, this is Kim Watson. Welcome to this week's review. It's slightly late this week because of the bank holiday, and we're already halfway through Tuesday. So, what I'm going to do is just quickly review the key fundamental data due out this week, and then we'll look at the technicals. So we're already through most of Tuesday. We have got the US manufacturing PMI out later on this afternoon, which may create some volatility there. The real key figures really is the services PMI for the UK on Thursday, although there's construction PMI out tomorrow. It's not such a big mover as the services data. The ADP non-farms on Thursday may create a bit of volatility, although I'm expecting it to be a bit quieter, and the more focus may be on the ISM non-manufacturing PMI US data at 3 o'clock on Thursday. Aside of that, we do have the FOMC minutes actually out on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock, which we've already seen the decision and heard of the decision they made and the potential 3 increases coming up as opposed to just 2 this year. But we may hear or may read more about that than has already been said, but we'll see. Aside of that, then on Friday, of course, we've got non-farm payrolls. There's the US and the Canadian data out at the same time, but as ever, the US data is the more significant in terms of market movement, and particularly looking at the US dollar potential moves during that data. Now, having seen, and we just recently had a decision, and it's getting closer and closer to Trump taking over, this week's data may have a lesser effect on the markets. Already we've seen the pound really, although it's really quite good news out this morning in terms of the data. The manufacturing PMI come out at 56 versus 53. It's only really held it up as opposed to, managed to hold it up and give it a small rally as opposed to something more significant maybe. Anyway, let's have a look at the technicals, and as I do so, we're looking at the euro dollar first. Interesting fact here, we're getting towards this. This is a monthly chart I'm just looking at for a moment because it's a little clearer to look at, and we've broken the prior sort of low area again, heading down towards last month's lows at this rate. When we look at it weekly, it's not too dissimilar really. We just had all these little candles which have pulled back each time when it's run down there. I'm looking at 2 things here just for the euro, just to see what the sentiment's like. I just had a look at the COT analysis, and it would suggest that short positions are getting, or the net short positions are reducing with the euro. So it doesn't mean to say it will stop moving. It just means to say that a lot of the non-commercials or the speculative traders are starting to reduce their shorts in the euro. Maybe it's getting there or to near what they're seeing as a bit of a near-term bottom. And of course, we've got the unknown coming as we move towards the end of January. Side of that, there's also a stack of buy orders sitting below on a lot of order books, which may provide a bit of support. But again, if the selling really just persists here, we could just easily run through those. So from a daily perspective, looking at the monthly chart, monthly pivots rather, if we haven't touched the monthly pivot yet, we've got a reasonable probability always of it being hit. It could find some support around these lows here. I'm not looking to do anything but go with the trend at the moment on the euro dollar, which is definitely with these lower highs, lower lows, is towards the downside. If you see some sort of reversal intraday, at the end of the day, it may give us the opportunity to work back towards that monthly pivot. But for now, it's looking more bearish than anything. Okay, the pound. Let's come out, look at the bigger picture. Actually, I don't think it's real necessary. No, it's not really necessary to look at the monthly picture. It's not really telling us much different to what we can see on the weeklies here. We broke that. We obviously broke out the wedge originally, pushed up towards the weekly 21. Never quite made it in terms of the exponential 21 at least. It's the previous week gave us a bit of potential for a bounce here, but again, it's already selling off, and obviously last week volume's very light. At the moment, again, lower highs, lower lows. It's on the weekly, it does look bearish, and although we've got a monthly pivot above us there, We've already hit the weeklies, etc. And it could, the way it's shaping up at the moment, there's still the potential for it to break these lows, head off down towards the S1, and maybe the October lows from last year could provide some support. Of course, with the pound again, there's sort of the indecision and concern, regardless of what's happening with Brexit, of course. But for now, it's leveling out, I would suggest, potentially at least. Whereas the dollar yen, it's still really pursuing from a, again, it's no point, well, actually, it just will just push the monthly on there because it's pushed above that monthly 21 quite significantly, and we could be seeing it pushing all the way back up to that sort of 124, 128, 126 area actually is that sort of area once again at this rate. Weekly's not really telling us too much, had a bit of a lull over the last couple of weeks, but certainly making up for it at the moment. Coming back to the dailies, well, again, if we saw, well, we could just run into a previous resistance here, run through and pull back to the monthly pivot at some point. We'll just see how that plays. It has, looking at it from a daily point of view over the last couple of weeks, it has just really been hardly going anywhere, slight flaggish sort of pattern of anything, so it gives me the view that we could have potential upside there. I'd rather be long on it than short at the moment, but things could change. Aussie dollar, I'm just looking at the weeklies here. It's continuing to really set the side, give us the target from this wedge that it put in previously there. The wedge had been broken to the low side there, and effectively it's probably given us pretty much the size of that wedge to the downside now. So it's but it's still, again, lower highs in this area, and well, maybe some support of these previously weekly lows here from back in May last year. Short term though, it just looks like another consolidation factor before it heads south again, although again we've got the monthly pivot above us, so any sort of push up, or if it can hold on to the gains, it could push up towards that, maybe push up beyond it, but it really is struggling. It's not really going, we're not seeing a lot of positive signs there at all. And finally, the Canadian dollar. In fact, what I do, I just flick on and just show you the dailies of oil as much as anything else. Actually, we should really look at this properly and look at the weeklies so we can see what's actually forming here. I meant to look at this anyway. There's a sort of a head and shouldery pattern that had formed across oil here. It could continue pushing up. There seems to be at least some stability in what's going on here at the moment. It seems to be pushing, closing in towards those prior highs. Possibly a 62 would be a sort of around about that 61.81, 62 area would be a reasonable target to expect it to be pushing to for its next, before it runs into sort of key resistance again. So that is to the bullish side. So I'm not going to go too much more beyond that. Let's have a look at what the Canadian dollar's done out of this. Well, the strength of the US dollar's really undermined the fact that the oil prices increased, although from a weekly perspective, last week it managed to pull back a little bit. And well, in some respects, we would expect it to be pulling back down. Still in this regression channel, same one I put on a few weeks ago or a month or so ago, and it's still riding into this regression channel at the moment. Potential it breaks the trend, I say the trend, but the midpoint there, the average point there, is that it could head back south towards the lower band. Now, shorter time frames, well, we have got the monthly pivot below us, and if it can hold on to what it's doing today, perhaps it could roll over, but if it breaks that daily 8 again, I would have to be looking more bullish. It's got the weekly pivot fractionally above that as well. That may just be actually a choker as opposed to the daily 8, but if it pushes beyond that area, then it really for me becomes a bit more of a bullish case. And I mean, I would be looking at that and the dollar as a whole. If the dollar is still making headwind against the euro and the pound, etc., well, and the Aussie, well, then we would expect this maybe just to push on. So that's it for me. I hope you have a great one. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Very happy New Year in the first place. But I wish you all a very happy New Year as we run through this year. Let's hope that volatility stays in the markets and the trend comes with it as well. That's it for me. Take care. Bye for now.